China's population is shrinking. This is a big deal. For decades, China had the world's largest population. Now, that's changing. In 2025, the population dropped for the third year in a row. It now sits at 1.411 billion. Last year alone, there were 850,000 fewer people in China. That's like losing the entire population of San Francisco. This decline isn't new, it started in 2022. That was the first drop since the 1960s. Back then, a famine caused the decline. This time it's different, people aren't having enough babies. The birth rate is the number of babies born each year. China's birth rate is very low. It's now below the replacement rate. The replacement rate is how many babies each woman needs to have to keep the population stable. That magic number is 2.1 children per woman. China's rate? Try 1.0. That's a recipe for a population nosedive. Experts predict this trend will continue. Some say China's population could plummet to below 1 billion by the end of the century. That's a loss of over 400 million people. Imagine the entire population of North America disappearing. That's the scale of China's population crisis. So, why aren't people in China having more babies? Well, it's complicated, but here are a few reasons. First, raising kids is expensive. China's economy is growing, but so is the cost of living. Housing, education, healthcare, it all adds up. Many young couples simply can't afford a big family. Second, social norms are changing. In the past, having a large family was expected. Now it's less common. Young people are focusing on their careers and personal goals. Having children often takes a back seat. Third, government policies have backfired. China's infamous one-child policy, in place from 1979 to 2016, had a lasting impact. It created a cultural shift towards smaller families. And while the government now allows 3 children, it hasn't been enough to reverse the trend. The government has tried other tactics, like financial incentives and extended maternity leave. But these efforts haven't moved the needle much. It seems you can't force people to have more babies, no matter how hard you try. A shrinking population has serious consequences. For China, the economic implications are particularly worrisome. First, a smaller workforce means slower economic growth. Who will fill the factories and offices if there aren't enough young people? China relies on its massive workforce to drive its economic engine. A shrinking population could stall that engine. Second, an aging population puts a strain on social services. With fewer young people to support the elderly, things like healthcare and pensions become unsustainable. China is already facing a pension crisis. This problem will only worsen as the population ages. Third, a shrinking population could make China less influential on the world stage. For decades, China's economic and military might has been fueled by its enormous population. A smaller population could diminish China's global standing. Some experts believe China's demographic crisis could even lead to political instability. A shrinking economy and strained social services are a recipe for unrest. How the Chinese government handles this demographic time bomb remains to be seen. China isn't alone in this demographic dilemma. Many East Asian countries are facing similar challenges. Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan are all grappling with low birth rates and aging populations. These countries share many of the same problems: high living costs, changing social norms, and government policies that have failed to boost birth rates. They also share a cultural aversion to immigration, which could help offset population decline. The demographic challenges facing East Asia are a warning sign for the rest of the world. As globalization and technological advancements continue to shape societies, it's likely that more countries will face similar population trends. The question is, what can be done about it? There are no easy answers. But one thing is clear: ignoring the problem is not an option.